team, and I think all three of you know where the damage was done.
Yes, you do. Absolutely. See you next time on The Chase Australia.
Tonight, SA's 2-week zero coronavirus streak broken. A traveller tests positive 6 weeks after landing. Also, the Adelaide University controversy blown wide open. The top-level investigation now underway. An Adelaide Plains property searched for the body of a suspected murder victim. 4 days on the floor after a fall, the welfare call that saved a woman's life. Later, COVID calorie consumption, how to get back on track the scientific way. And farewell Brutus, the passing of a veteran Adelaide Zoo drawcard.
Live from Adelaide, 7 News with Jane Doyle.
Good evening. Just when we thought South Australia was about to be declared coronavirus-free, COVID-19 has struck again. An elderly man has become the first case in 2 weeks. Let's go live to Elspeth Hussey. And Elle, there are some concerning elements to this case.
Yeah, there are, Jane. The man, aged in his 70s, arrived from the UK 6 weeks ago, but he's only tested positive this week after volunteering for a swab when he lost his sense of taste and smell. Fortunately, though, he has been largely self-isolating, and health authorities don't believe, but they say it's highly unlikely he's still contagious. They have identified a number of close contacts, though, including his wife, but they aren't showing any symptoms.
She doesn't know many people in South Australia, and because of his age as well, he's remained very much isolated. And so despite having this as a new case in South Australia, there are only 5 close contacts. All of those people have been contacted already and are already under quarantine.
So it was just yesterday we were spruiking that 2 weeks clear, but today the reality of this unpredictable virus has been rammed home. While authorities initially said 28 days of no new cases would be needed to lift restrictions, today's blip shouldn't affect that, with an announcement to be made tomorrow. We are being warned, though, police are still cracking down hard. The latest finds 16 drunk partygoers and 4 people busted having a drinking session inside a pub in the state's southeast, plus a woman who skipped quarantine not once or twice, but 3 times. Jane.
Thanks, Elle. And to breaking news now. Adelaide Crows players face hefty fines for breaching COVID-19 regulations this afternoon. Theo Doropoulos joins us, and Theo, the AFL's furious.
And with good reason, Jane. Now, the breach in question relates to social distancing measures. While the players were training under the AFL and government regulations, they're allowed to do that, but strictly in pairs, which was the issue. Now, the club had arranged for players returning from interstate to be isolated at the Novotel in the Barossa Valley, which is currently closed to the public. Players were spotted training on the Tanunda Golf Course, but failed to stick to the proper guidelines. A short time ago, the club released a statement confirming players were told to train in accordance with AFL protocols, which, as we've said, includes only training in pairs. Head of football Adam Kelly conceded that didn't happen. SAPOL is also aware, saying that it has to look into all the information, all the relevant information, before determining whether the Crows players would face any financial sanctions. We'll know that in the coming days. On top of that as well, there's the wrath of the AFL. So it's going to be a turbulent few days for the Adelaide Crows. Jane.
Thanks, Theo. Adelaide University's reeling with the state's corruption watchdog wading into its mysterious departures. Mike Smithson joins us live. And Mike, an investigation's been launched.
Yes, Jane, ICAC's involvement centres on the alleged behaviour of the Vice-Chancellor and other wider matters. Now, bear in mind, Bruce Lander rarely buys into an issue that he's investigating before it even starts. Today he announced he's examining allegations of improper conduct by Vice-Chancellor Peter Rathjen, who suddenly departed on indefinite personal leave. He's also investigating how the uni dealt with those allegations. Mystery deepened further with the abrupt resignation of Chancellor and former Governor Kevin Scarce just a day before the Vice-Chancellor vanished. ICAC's looking at potential issues of serious or systemic misconduct and maladministration, but not corruption. Mr Lander's extraordinary move came as he feared current speculation was leading to unnecessary negative impact on the uni's operations. Students here were given basic detail today, but nothing more.
I guess everyone's just really questioning what's going on, but other than that, we don't know much.
With COVID-19, we've got a lot to catch up on, so I'm not personally worried.
Now, Mr Lander stresses that nothing's been proven and the investigation will be held in private. But Jane, while some questions are answered today, there are many that are unanswered. Back to you.
Thanks, Smitho. A tip-off from the public has moved major crime detectives closer to cracking a cold case murder. They've narrowed down an area where the remains of drug dealer Michael Pearce were likely dumped and began searching there today.
From the air and on the ground, police and emergency services scour a private property at Pinkerton, an hour north of Adelaide.
We know what was used to kill Michael, and there was two separate items. We know what they are and we're looking for them.
Detectives believe 32-year-old Michael Pearce, a convicted fraudster and drug dealer, was murdered in this Kilburn unit last February. His body was wrapped in a green floral rug, put in a car boot and dumped somewhere in the Adelaide Plains.
Today, unfortunately, we haven't found his body here.
Police say there are 3 suspects. Officers have a solid lead thanks to a Good Samaritan who unknowingly helped free a bog car carrying the victim's remains.
What's even better is he actually sent somebody a text message at the time, which he still had, about them. So they are very crystal clear memories of what these offenders look like.
Detectives say the car became stuck 30 kilometres from here, giving an idea of just how vast the area they have to search is.
They will do that over the coming days and weeks.
The victim's mother, who lives overseas, is desperate for answers.
To never actually have a body that you can actually lay to rest would be just horrible.
Lauren Rose, 7 News.
Hundreds of police officers will tomorrow line Adelaide's streets to pay tribute to high-ranking policewoman Joanne Shanahan, who was killed in a horrific traffic crash. Deanna Williams is at Norwood. Coronavirus restrictions have meant most friends and colleagues simply can't attend the service.
Yes, that's right, Jane. Under normal circumstances, hundreds would have paid their respects at Joanne Shanahan's funeral, but with the service capped at just 10 people, her family has come up with what is sure to be a moving way to honour the Chief Superintendent. Officers, friends and family will form a guard of honour for the procession, which will start at the intersection of Cross and Unley Roads, make its way along Green Hill and Fullerton Roads, then Osmond Terrace, arriving at Berry's funeral home on McGill Road for the service at around 10:45.
My understanding is a lot of our police family will be lining the route from Joanne's home to the funeral service in the absence of being able to attend the funeral. As sad as it is, I'm looking forward to seeing the mark of respect to Joanne.
For the many who can't attend the service in person, it'll be streamed online through the funeral parlour's website and with the blessing of the Shanahan family on 7 News' social media pages. Jane?
Thanks, Dee. 12 years after calling time on car manufacturing here, Mitsubishi is expanding its footprint in Adelaide. It's building a new national headquarters at the airport, creating hundreds of construction jobs.
When Mitsubishi's last car rolled off the line in 2008, many thought that was the end of its operations here. In fact, its national headquarters has been keeping a low profile at Tonsley. But soon the automotive giant will be hard to miss. Today, the first sod was turned to mark the construction of its new 3-storey home at Adelaide Airport.
We have the right products, we have the right people, and we believe that we will soon have the right facility. We look forward to a long-standing partnership with them and look forward to establishing them as a premier tenant.
It's set to be completed in February next year, creating 700 construction jobs along the way.
This project possibly couldn't have come at a better time for our state.
The company hopes when the market bounces back from COVID-19, it'll be able to expand its 200-strong Adelaide workforce with at least 30 extra staff. But that won't make up for the thousands of jobs that went when it closed its plants at Lonsdale and Tonsley. Taxpayers have handed over a $2 million sweetener to ensure its HQ wasn't moved to another city.
We are looking beyond COVID. We are looking to a bright and successful future.
He hopes the new location can help build on record sales over the past 2 years. Andrea Nicholas, 7 News.
Police have arrested a 15-year-old boy for allegedly breaking into a jewellery store in Rundle Mall. An alarm alerted police that someone had forced their way through a roller door. They watched the suspect leave on CCTV and followed him down a dead-end laneway. The teenager from Mile End was charged with theft and serious criminal trespass. A previously secret Royal Commission report has found Cardinal George Pell knew of child sexual abuse within the Catholic Church, but failed on at least 2 occasions to remove paedophile priests. The Cardinal says he's surprised by the findings.
Soon after the full and damning report was tabled in Parliament today, ribbons as a mark of respect for victims of sexual abuse at the Sydney Seminary, where George Pell moved after his release from jail last month.
I find it difficult that the Catholic Church is protecting him in such luxurious style.
For years, the report was heavily redacted so as not to prejudice court proceedings, but this morning released in full. It found Pell knew of children being abused by pedophile priests like his former housemate, Father Gerard Ridsdale. We are satisfied that in 1973, Father Pell turned his mind to the prudence of Ridsdale, taking boys on overnight camps. But Ridsdale was just moved around. He's now in jail.
None of this is surprising, but it's obviously shocking and devastating.
Pell also knew of allegations against Father Peter Searson in 1989, but felt any investigation was not his responsibility. He should have advised the Archbishop to remove Father Searson, and he did not do so. Searson died in 2009 without facing any charges.
George Pell was aware of abuse and didn't take appropriate steps.
Cardinal Pell today released a statement saying he was surprised by the findings. He indicated he was unaware of Ridsdale's offending until much later and had in fact removed Father Searson from his parish in 1997. Well, there's been no sign of George Pell today here at the Homebush Seminary, where he's thought to be staying, no doubt digesting the full findings of the Royal Commission. That hasn't stopped his detractors calling for him to face further sanctions.
They need to act. He needs to be defrocked and removed his status in the Church.
The Royal Commission rejected other claims levelled at Cardinal Pell, including that he offered a bribe to an abuse survivor to silence them. Evan Batten, 7 News.
For the first time since the COVID crisis changed our lives, we have the clearest plan yet on how Australia is going to exit the virus lockdown. In 3 monthly stages, restrictions will be eased, putting thousands back to work and reuniting families and friends.
The road out of the coronavirus crisis will be a journey of 3 stages.
Australians will now be at the forefront of beginning to regain their lives.
National Cabinet tomorrow will design the roadmap. The stages in force at least 4 weeks apart, the first this month, the second in June and the third in mid-July, signalling the reopening of a COVID-safe economy.
That will set out clear stages, and then each state will determine how they're able to move.
The first stage easing social gatherings, community sport and encouraging a return to retail. The 4-week gap allowing leaders to assess the impact of each stage on infection rates before moving to the next.
The more we have interaction with people, the more we move around, the more the chance is that any low level of virus might spread more.
As Australia earns entry to the First Movers Club, video conferences of nations emerging first from lockdown, including Israel, Austria, Greece, Denmark, Norway, the Czech Republic, New Zealand and Singapore. The number of Australians approved for the JobKeeper allowance ticked past 5 million today, with another 1.5 million unemployed and receiving job seeker allowance. That's more than half the total workforce on benefits. With the banks now deferring payments for $160 billion of business loans and mortgages, the economic case for reopening is growing. Mark Riley, 7 News.
The Ruby Princess cruise ship has finally returned home. The vessel's anchored in waters off the Philippines alongside 16 other cruise ships. 21 deaths and 700 infections have been linked to the ship. Hundreds of crew members on board are still waiting for their test results. A nationwide manhunt is underway for a gangland figure after the body of 26-year-old mother Ellie Price was found in her Melbourne home. Detectives are appealing for boyfriend Ricardo Barbaro to come forward.
If you're listening, Ricardo, the fact is we need to speak to you about the circumstances relating to Ellie's death. This is not going to go away.
He's related to gangland figure Pasquale Barbaro, gunned down alongside Jason Moran while watching a children's football training session in 2003. Fraudsters have taken a slice of the billions of dollars being drained from super accounts across Australia in early stimulus payouts. Authorities say the sophisticated scams may be orchestrated by offshore organised crime groups.
The $9 billion taken early from Australian super accounts is easy pickings for some.
It's quite sophisticated.
Organised crime or offshore links?
That's all possibilities.
The Australian Federal Police has identified 150 victims, freezing accounts holding a total of $120,000. The Tax Commissioner said super funds may have thought wrongly they were paying out to a legitimate member.
And there are other players other than the ATO and the super fund.
The victims are being contacted. The average amount of early super being paid out is just under $9,000. Officials would not say which super funds have been targeted, but did confirm that the MyGov site has not been hacked, nor of any other government websites, warning more attacks are likely and our best defence is to better protect our identity information and personal data. The AFP has executed 5 search warrants.
We don't want to tip off, I guess, the offenders involved in this, given the fact that we have made no arrests at this stage.
Super funds may be liable to compensate members who are victims of fraud.
Can you provide a guarantee to the Australian people that there won't be further examples of fraud like this?
I think that'll be a pretty tough call.
Brian Seymour, 7 News.
A few weeks ago, our usually bustling city shopping strip was little more than a ghost town. Today, Rundle Mall was showing signs of life with dozens of stores reopening. But as some retailers rejoice, for others the pandemic could spell the end.
3 weeks ago, it was deserted, barely a soul in sight. But at Rundle Mall today, it was a very different story.
Oh, it's wonderful today. There's lots of people out, there's more shops open, and there's just a better vibe.
Many retailers were forced to shut their doors due to a lack of foot traffic. But as COVID case numbers decline and restrictions ease, South Australians are ready to shop.
It's great. It's great for the South Australian economy. It's great for the mall, the heart of the city here, starting to beat again.
This morning, the Apple Store opened for the first time in 5 weeks. It was so popular, dedicated customers had to wait their turn.
My laptop can't, so I need a new one.
Clothing stores and shoe shops were also busy.
A lot of people tend to want to try on shoes more than, buy them online.
People are spending money in more local stores and helping out a lot, which is really good.
But not all stores have been so lucky. For many, it's simply not worth opening, and some may never recover.
Some of those brands are saying, we can only go for another 4 weeks, we can only go for another 2 weeks in some cases, and that's really concerning.
As stores gradually reopen, it should ease some of the pressure on online orders. For now, though, Australia Post remains run off its feet, delivering a staggering 2 million parcels a day.
And in another sign of the times, even stores that stayed open are reverting back to pre-COVID trading hours. Big W will recommence late-night shopping from tonight. Tim Yateman, 7 News.
Story time in the Sussex house looks relatively normal. Doting parents trying to keep a baby focused through one small book. Meghan and Harry released the rare video to celebrate baby Archie turning 1.
Lockdown in Los Angeles.
Duck, rabbit.
Archie celebrates his first birthday with a book. His father in charge of camera work and sound effects.
I heard duck sounds. Quack, quack, quack. Quack, 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 quack. Quack, quack, quack. That's funny. I distinctly heard rabbit sounds.
Royal fans were given their first glimpse of the 7th in line to the throne this year. The usually secretive Sussexes using story time to raise awareness of children going without food or education as a result of the COVID-19 shutdown.
Well, anyway, now what do you want to do? What happened?
But he wrapped up his rare public appearance with a shout out to Dad.
The And
Yay! The end! Woo!
good job.
Bravo! Bravo!
Yay!
Prior to the coronavirus crisis, it was speculated that Archie would spend his first birthday in the United Kingdom with the Queen. But with travel restrictions keeping the Sussexes here in LA, it's believed the birthday boy received a video message from the monarch instead. The Queen also sharing a public birthday message, an honour usually reserved for senior royals. Prince Charles posting a christening photo with his birthday love, while the Cambridges wish their nephew a happy first birthday. Archie out of the firm, but still very much in the family.
Page, look arch.
In Los Angeles, Amelia Brace, 7 News.
Wait, listen, did you hear that?
Now it's time to check in with Soda on what's happening in sport.
Well, Jane, as we saw earlier, the Crows have got a little bit on their plate to deal with, and along with the power, the SA clubs look likely that they'll both be playing on the road initially when the AFL season reboots. What about this? Mike Tyson going head-to-head with Barry Hall. I'd like to see that. Well, an Aussie promoter putting up the cash to get the pair in the ring. He's 53 years of age and he's hitting that hard, Mike Tyson.
You know my view of boxing.
Well, I know,
Not
but
fond.
quite remarkable to see those two go head-to-head.
Yes. Thanks, Soda.
You're not a fan, are you?
No, I'm not. Ahead on 7 News, the sad passing of an Adelaide Zoo favourite, Brutus the hippopotamus. Also, the moment a jogger was shot in the US in a sickening racist attack. Later, we take a tour of a remarkable South Australian home on the market, and our wild winds stir up dust clouds. Live to Amelia for the details.
7 News, brought to you by Industry Superfunds.
I suddenly realised we're all in this together.
That feels especially true, given what's going on. It is good to know that our super will help us and our economy bounce back. And if you're with one of these, your super is invested in things that create jobs and keep Aussie businesses strong, delivering good long-term returns that benefit all of us. After all,
we're all in this together.
Our first home, our first big commitment.
Sunday, they come home.
That is bloody beautiful.
This is like the ultimate.
Wow, I've never ever seen that before.
I love it. It's perfect.
Will these lovebirds
Here we have a pretend engagement ring.
get their fairy tale ending? A very special reveal. Sunday at 7 on 7.
Come on.
This winter, heat your home with SA's #1 Daikin dealer and save up to $1,000. Daikin technology makes heating your home efficient, and right now you can save up to $1,000 on any Daikin ducted system. Heat your home with climate and save.
A lot of us are spending more time at home,
Ow.
using a lot more electricity and internet. Unfortunately, iSelect can't help with your naked partner walking past your big presentation, but we could help shrink those household bills. Now's the time to compare, select and save with iSelect on 13 19 20.
Ours is a world on demand. So why should the way we study be any different? UniSA Online. Apply now.
Tough times don't excuse tougher times at home. Even in crisis, there's no place for abuse or domestic violence. If you're worried about your actions or relationship, help is available online and by phone 24/7. For free confidential advice and counselling, contact Men's Line. There's no place for abuse or domestic violence. Help is here. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
How good does it feel to know it's Plush Sofa's grand reopening with up to 50% off in showroom and online and 48 months interest-free.
Tasty, affordable and delicious. What's for dinner in the next break with Coles?
Adelaide Zoo is mourning the loss of one of its most popular residents, Brutus the hippo. The 54-year-old was put to sleep this morning after his health began to fail.
Treating Brutus to a birthday cake, keepers were touting the longevity of this hungry hippopotamus living well past his half-century.
50 years is a good innings for a hippo to get to, so 53 is an achievement in itself.
But now at 54 and crippled by arthritis, Zoos SA had to make the devastating decision to put him to sleep.
We knew the time was going to come. We've been monitoring him very, very closely, but have certainly seen him go downhill.
Brutus spent most of his life alongside his partner Susie. The couple arrived from Sydney in 1975, delighting generations of South Australians and spawning generations of their own. Their granddaughter and great-granddaughter now living at Werribee Zoo in Victoria. Susie died in 2017.
And we weren't sure how he would go 3 years ago when he lost Susie, but you know, he rallied and he's had another couple of really enjoyable years.
It's unlikely Adelaide Zoo will play home to any more Nile hippos like Brutus and Susie, but that doesn't mean we won't see their kind again here in South Australia.
We're developing the Wild Africa area with some water holes. There is that potential. We'd love to see hippos at Monarto Safari Park.
COVID restrictions mean both zoos remain closed, but fans are being encouraged to enjoy a slice of watermelon in Brutus's honour. Tim Hatfield, 7 News.
Indeed. Confronting video has emerged in a racially charged murder case in the US. Ahmaud Arbery was jogging in Georgia when stopped by two white men, a former policeman and his son. They claim Arbery looked like a burglary suspect and confronted him. The younger man opened fire with a shotgun. The unarmed 25-year-old died at the scene. It happened in February, but so far no one's been arrested. The case has sparked protests across Georgia. Mr Arbery's family claims it was a hate crime. It's enough to make you seasick. In traffic, a bridge in China created waves as it swayed violently in strong sea winds. Engineers say the wobbles are normal and within a certain range don't affect safe driving. The bridge was temporarily closed, but there's no damage to the main structure. It's been a windy day here across much of the state. With gusts of up to 100 kilometres an hour recorded. Amelia's down at Grange tonight, and Amelia, it's looking wild around the coast too.
Jane, it is. We've seen a cold front move through late today, and with that we've seen some pretty large waves develop. They could get as high as 11 metres about the western coast of Eyre Peninsula, KI, and about the southeast as well. Now, closer to home, wave heights have been around a couple of metres, with surfers enjoying a bit of fun late this afternoon. This morning, winds were particularly fierce, whipping up dust about areas north of the city, as seen here near Truro. Gusts topped 90 k's an hour at Strathalbyn and at High Marsh Island, and they were as high as 102 k's an hour at Cape Willoughby. The SES responded to about 50 calls for help, mostly for toppled trees. Now, we are set to take a short break from the wild weather, with conditions easing overnight, but they'll pick up again tomorrow with another front due. It'll get windy, and we could see some showers overnight into Saturday as well. I'll have details on that in the forecast a little later. Jane.
Thanks, Amelia. Still to come on 7 News, how elective surgery bans in Victoria saved 3 South Australian lives. Donald Trump lashes out at a nurse in need of medical supplies. Later, eat well in isolation, tips and tricks from a CSIRO scientist. And trapped in her home after a nasty fall, the call that saved Erica's life.
David, I'm assigning you to the Home Secretary.
Very good, Mum. Pleasure to meet you, Mum.
I'm late for a meeting. She's got an agenda to heighten fear, to seize power. I don't need you to vote for me, only to protect me.
These plots do not always arise from outside.
She's got you wrapped around her finger. This is a very dangerous politician. There's been an inside man all along.
Looks like the Home Secretary couldn't be in safer hands.
The must-see event, Bodyguard, coming to 7.
Hi, I'm Courtney, and we hope you've enjoyed this week's kids' recipes.
I am so proud to be working with Coles to support the Stephanie Alexander Kitchen Garden Foundation. Tonight I'll be cooking a handmade semolina pasta with a fresh tomato and garlic sauce. So let's get started. The first thing we need to do is chop our tomatoes. And you guys want to do your bridge hold of the tomatoes, and we just want to slice down. We now need to dice the tomatoes. So you can do your bear grip or your tiger grip. Keep your fingers tucked out of the way. All of the tomatoes are diced up. So we've got 4 cloves of garlic, and you can just use your rock and chop to roughly dice these. So I've got about 2 tablespoons of olive oil that we're going to pop into our pan, and we can go in with the garlic, put in our tomatoes. So you want a good pinch of salt, and we also need a little bit of sugar. The tomato sauce is smelling amazing. You can see it's reduced down a little bit. Okay, for our handmade pasta today, there's lots of different recipes, but this is the easiest of them all. All we're using is some water and some semolina flour. And we're using our clean hands to start to work that flour into the water. And you're wanting to get this to a really nice dough consistency. And we're going to do what's called kneading. Now this pasta dough has become really nice and soft and smooth. All we need to do now is to let this rest. All right, our pasta dough has had its 20 minutes resting, and we're going to cut it into 6 portions. So now that that's rolled out, we can start to nip pieces of dough and give it a roll, and then using your 3 middle fingers, press down on the pasta and then roll it towards you. I've got some boiling water here, and we need to add some sea salt, and then we can just lower this into the water, and it will start to rise up and tell you when it's cooked. Look at that beautiful big bowl, hearty pasta, really simple to make, really lots of fun as well. So I'm just gonna top my pasta with this beautiful tomato and garlic sauce. And there you have it, handmade semolina pasta with a fresh tomato and garlic sauce. We hope this week has inspired you to get in the kitchen with your kids, and loads of great ideas for Mother's Day too. For this and many other fantastic recipes, head over to the Stephanie Alexander Kitchen Garden Foundation and Coles websites. Happy cooking.
3 Adelaide kidney patients can thank ongoing elective surgery bans in Victoria for life-saving transplants here. It was a race against time, but all went like clockwork.
A complex and military-like manoeuvre. The kidneys became available in Melbourne but couldn't be used because of the bans. 3 suitable recipients here were given 12 hours notice that their lives were about to change. But it also needed an urgent cross-border road trip on Sunday.
Through State Command and the SA Police, we were able to facilitate the kidneys coming across in a very straightforward manner, and then picked up by a courier and then driven up to Adelaide.
Surgical teams assembled at the RAH for a long night. 7 hours later, 2 of the patients had their new kidneys.
This is an opportunity for South Australia. We've got world-class surgeons who were able to nimbly resume the kidney program.
It was so successful, the man and woman in their 30s were discharged today. The 3rd transplant occurred last night. That man is also recovering well. Corinne Triconi received a transplant here 9 weeks ago, just before COVID-19 hit. She can't speak highly enough of the RAH.
For me, it's been a miracle, and I wish everybody donated.
Transplants are often a story of tragedy and triumph, and the timing of these kidneys may have saved 3 lives here.
We're lucky that we have a program that can support them, and we were able to do what we needed to do.
Mike Smithson, 7 News.
US Congress has been warned the COVID-19 death toll will hit 100,000 by June. To mark National Nurses Day, President Trump invited a team of frontline carers into the Oval Office. One spoke up about struggling for basic supplies.
I've been reusing my N95 mask for a few weeks now, so PPE has been sporadic.
Sporadic for you, but not sporadic for a lot of other people.
Oh, no, I agree, Mr. President.
Because I've heard the opposite.
Donald Trump today called COVID an attack, one he says that's worse than Pearl Harbor or September 11. A welfare check has saved the life of an elderly woman south of Brisbane. She was trapped in her home for 4 days until being rescued by her 2 angels.
Beating down the front door to find 80-year-old Erica collapsed on the floor inside her Bow Desert home.
Yes, it's the police, Erica. Can you tell me what's happened?
You've fallen down?
4 days earlier, she'd crawled from her bedroom to the lounge room with a broken hip.
We've got an ambulance on the way, OK? They'll be here soon, OK, darling?
Her sense of humour still intact despite the pain.
Come and pick up past you and get you a drink of water, OK?
Yeah, in the fridge, I have got some apple juice. Could you make it half with soda water?
Oh, I can hear sirens. So, hear that?
Oh, God.
Yeah, so they're coming for you. They won't be too far away now. Yeah, they...
You're nice looking, man.
Thank you.
Erica lives alone but is registered with the state government's care army. The police officers made the welfare check after a volunteer phoned the 80-year-old and didn't receive an answer.
She's now recovering in hospital.
Yeah, come on, darling.
Good morning, Erica.
Good morning.
How are you?
Erica unable to hug her saviours, Glenn and Max, but still able to show her immense gratitude.
If you wouldn't have come, I don't think I'd be sitting here. My lifesavers, my angels. No policemen, my angels.
Emily Arnold, 7 News.
What a lovely story. Still to come on 7 News, beat super slump, the best performing funds, nest egg advice for all age groups. Disgraced actor Kevin Spacey compares his career demise to coronavirus job victims. And fancy a home with sea views inside and out? This could be for you. For your official local source of COVID-19 information and the range of support services available, go to sa.gov.au.
It's going to knock you off your feet.
The key players uncensored.
Wish I could have done more, Tail.
Shocking footage exposed. Our burning questions answered.
He was killed.
Tiger King. What really went down? Tuesday, 7:30, only on 7.
Take a moment to experience bliss. Smooth, melting Lindor from the Lindt Master Chocolatier. Melt into a moment of bliss.
Now more than ever, we know what families are going through. So this week you can pick up lots of specials like Cadbury Roses 450 grams, now just $7.75 each. That's half price. We want you to always get your Woolies worth.
That's why I pick Woolies.
The new Skoda Kodiaq RS should never look like that. With a powerful bi-turbocharged engine, this is performance that's not for show. Skoda, simply clever.
I like this one.
Oh, nice. Have you thought about insurance?
I'm just doing an online quote now.
New car? Get RAA Comprehensive Car Insurance. RAA.
Keep on moving on.
Low GI for longer lasting energy. Wonder Active. Play on.
Harvey Norman has everything you need for your home. Come into our spacious stores for the best of Australian made. Choose Australian made timber and fabric beds and customise the fabric, colour and timber stain to suit your home. Our range features the best names in Australian made mattresses and ensembles. Sealy, Sleepmaker, Beauty Rest, King Coil and Body Balance. Complete your sleep experience with beautiful Australian made Manchester. Support local manufacturers and choose Australian made. Everything you need for your home. Browse online and shop in store. Now at Harvey Norman.
Go!
Call Stratco now about our non-contact design and quoting solutions. Get 72 months interest-free on patios, sheds and outdoor blinds and pay absolutely nothing for the first 12 months. T's and C's apply. So, you bring the dream, Stratco will bring the how-to.
There's no reason to leave home this winter. Now's the time to make your home comfortable and stay in with the family. Gasworks have everything to make your home comfortable, with heating and hot water to suit any home or budget. Gasworks, the home of comfort.
Since March, superannuation funds exposed to the share market have taken huge hits. Experts say don't panic, but there are steps you should take now.
Retirement is meant to look something like this, but COVID-19 has hit superannuation nest eggs for 6.
February and March, we saw extreme share market weakness.
Best advice is to seek expert opinion now.
It's a tough call for someone in their late 50s. Is the market going to recover soon, or is it going to fall a lot further?
If you are decades from retirement in your 30s, good news.
There are high quality assets that were worth a lot more 6 to 12 months ago that now we can buy.
In your 40s, you can afford to ride out a few market corrections.
Getting a bit more marginal, but they'd be in the same situation.
Taking into account the recent falls, the best performing funds over the past 5 years are Q Super, returning more than 5.5%, Australian Super, Cbus Growth, Host Plus Super and Construction Industry Super Bus Q. But regardless of the time in your life, this is what you should do now.
First up, check your investment return. It's the net performance. Don't pay too much in fees. Check your investment option. Do you have enough insurance? Are you paying too much? And finally, do you need insurance? Consolidate your accounts.
Above all, don't panic. Super is a long-term investment. Steve Titmus, 7 News.
Fallen Hollywood star Kevin Spacey has re-emerged in an online video. The disgraced actor compared his career demise to the situation facing those who've lost jobs to the coronavirus pandemic.
I do have empathy for what it feels like to suddenly be told that you can't go back to work or that you might lose your job, and that it's a situation that you have absolutely no control over.
Spacey's career ended abruptly in 2017 after a series of sexual assault allegations surfaced. If you've been guilty of a little too much snacking while working from home, you're certainly not alone. The CSIRO's nutrition experts warn living in lockdown is taking a toll on our eating habits. But there are ways to avoid the trap. We'll have that story later in the bulletin. A fish lover's paradise in the heart of our state's seafood capital has hit the market. The unique waterfront property comes complete with a built-in 8-metre-long aquarium filled with Spencer Gulf marine life.
In the heart of the marina sits Port Lincoln's hottest listing.
This home is definitely extremely unique. I haven't been in a home in Port Lincoln like this one.
Built into its lounge room walls is an impressive 27-foot long, 14-foot deep aquarium filled with snapper, mulloway, even King George whiting.
After travelling overseas, Dad saw a large resort that had an indoor aquarium, and he came back to Port Lincoln, and in 2000 the aquarium was built.
But if the fish don't grab you, how about the tropical indoor garden? There'll be a glass aviary thrown in as part of the deal, but you'll need your own macaw. This one isn't staying. The home was built by Ron and Janet Forster in 1988 and has since played host to groups of all ages.
Great to see just the enjoyment people get because not everybody's able to get out and fish or look at fish.
And it was here the Forsters developed plans for their world-renowned Great White Shark tours. With floor-to-ceiling marble, the palatial property is designed for entertaining. But it's BYO boat if you wish to pop out to sea. As for how many pennies will be required...
So we're not giving out any figures at this stage, and we are asking for expressions of interest.
But be quick, the phones are ringing hot. Casey Trelaw, 7 News.
Looks like a nice place for your family over at Port Lincoln.
It's not bad, is it?
No?
He's just remarkable.
Yeah, well, I'll give you the phone number, laddie. You can give the real estate agent a ring. Now it's time for sport. And Soda, we heard earlier that Crows are under pressure tonight for breaking training rules so early in the piece.
Well, there's a bunch of players that are returning from interstate. Yep. They were isolating up in the Barossa, so we just got to check. There's a bit of an investigation to see whether they did something that they shouldn't do. Well, being investigated at the moment. Also coming up, we'll explain why the Crows and the Power are set to spend a lot of time on the road when the AFL resumes. Plus, local jockeys and partners, Jason Holder and Caitlin Jones, set to go head-to-head in Saturday's SA Derby. And big bad Barry Hall could go toe-to-toe with 53-year-old Iron Mike Tyson.
Guilty of the murder of Special Agent Emily Burnham.
She's alive.
You've been gone 6 years.
Where were you? Do you recall anything from your time in captivity?
No.
She must remember to to save herself.
She's dangerous.
Castle Stana Katic in the riveting new series, Absentia, coming soon to 7.
This is not an empty street. This is a community united. Courageous, compassionate, determined. Working together by staying apart to stop the spread of COVID-19. To keep us connected and informed, the state government has created a local, reliable source for COVID-19 information. For the information you need, including support that's available, visit sa.gov.au. Keeping SA safe and strong.
A great pioneer of modern nursing once said, "The greatest heroes are those who do their duty in the daily grind of domestic affairs whilst the world whirls." In 2020, the year of the nurse and midwife, 200 years after Florence Nightingale's birth, we say thank you to the nurses, midwives and personal care workers who, in the face of both tragedy and joy, share their care and skills every day of every year. You are our real heroes.
Cassini House for Adelaide's best granite, marble and engineered stone bench tops. All in the one place. Cassini House.
All my dreams are coming true.
Welcome to Bunnings. We put measures in place to keep us all safe.
You can order online, drive to the store and collect with contact-free pickup.
You may have to queue on arrival to limit the amount of customers in store.
We're also limiting the number of people per aisle.
Protective screens have been installed.
And line markings and tables to keep us 1.5 metres apart. Contactless payment is preferred where possible.
We're doing the best we can to get you in and out of Bunnings quickly and safely. Thanks for your patience.
Now more than ever, we know what families are going through. So this week you can pick up lots of specials like Cadbury Roses 450 grams, now just $7.75 each. That's half price. We want you to always get your Woolies worth.
That's why I pick Woolies.
If you're a small business, you've probably got a lot of questions right now, which is why you should speak to a professional accountant who's trained in planning and cash flow management strategies. For further support, contact a professional accountant today.
We're pregnant!
Did someone say KFC?
I don't care. I love it.
The Sports Report brought to you by KFC. Get your KFC contact-free today.
Hello again. Well, as you saw earlier, the AFL and Adelaide are investigating whether 16 Crows players isolating together in Tanunda after returning from interstate have broken training protocols by gathering in groups of more than 2. The club devised a plan to house them together at the Novotel Golf Resort, which is closed to the public. The Crows say players were told what was and wasn't allowed to happen. The Crows in power face a month of away games when the 2020 season eventually fires back up. Premier Stephen Marshall will let the teams fly in and out of South Australia, but slam the door on interstate teams playing in Adelaide.
On the surface, it seems the 2020 season just got a little harder for the Crows in power.
I mean, it's quite possible that in the early stages, South Australian teams will only be playing away games.
But Adelaide's teams won't have to pack the long-term suitcase. The Premier says the government could let the Crows in power fly in and out of South Australia. They won't be forced to serve a 2-week quarantine period when they return from interstate and avoid a long-term hub lockdown.
South Australian players might be able to train here, stay here in their home state, go out for games, but then return in a sort of a semi-quarantine situation so they can still train and they can still get to the next game.
However, any AFL game played at the Adelaide Oval would have to be a showdown as Premier Marshall joins Western Australia in refusing to relax strict border measures.
Look, if the season was to start today, there is no way we would be having Victorian, New South Wales and Queensland players coming into South Australia.
There is no confidence the AFL can maintain infection control and prevent infection spread. The WA's hard border will not and should not be compromised to allow the AFL to resume a home and away season.
There might be some opportunity down the track, but I wouldn't think that there'd be any changes anytime soon.
An announcement from the AFL will come on Monday.
Well, rising Formula One star Lando Norris wants to try his hand at driving a real supercar after whetting his appetite in the E-Series last night. Shane van Gisbergen took out race one despite a late skirmish on a virtual version of the Spa circuit in Belgium. Norris caused mayhem entering pit lane in race two.
I had to either drive a whole lap with a completely broken car or drive the wrong way for just a few metres.
In a series where massive crashes are the norm, Scott McLaughlin leads after 5 rounds. Well, fears are growing Tennis Australia will be forced to cancel next year's Australian Open because of the coronavirus pandemic. The number of players who could play is likely to be severely restricted due to border rules. And Aussie opener Joe Burns says a possible summer showdown with Virat Kohli's India shapes as the toughest challenge of his career so far.
Both teams are going to have a lot to play for with the #1 ranking and the position on the World Test Championships. And that's what's motivating us.
Burns and Marnus Labuschagne were among 6 new faces to be given contracts by Cricket Australia. And Sydney Swans Premiership captain Barry Hall could go toe-to-toe with boxing legend Mike Tyson in a blockbuster exhibition bout. An Aussie promoter has offered Tyson $1.5 million to fight either Big Bad Barry, rugby league legend Paul Gallen or former All Black Sonny Bill Williams. 53-year-old Tyson still packs plenty of punch, especially looking at that. Well, a 30-year-old partnership between trainer Leon McDonald and jockey Jason Holder could finally deliver success at the highest level on Saturday. But to win the prestigious SA Derby, Holder will have to beat his partner Caitlin Jones to the post.
It's rare in the sporting world for partners to compete on a level playing field, but for jockeys Jason Holder and Caitlin Jones, Saturday's SA Derby provides that chance.
Well, it's not really a level playing field, Caitlin. My horse has won its last 2 and it deserves to be red hot favourite.
Yeah, but my horse has the best jockey in the race, and in a staying test like the Derby, that's got to count for something.
Oh, if you win it, I'll be the first to congratulate you, and you can still cook me dinner.
Caitlin will be riding in a Group 1 race for the first time.
I've had a few ups and downs, some tough times, but I think, this is what we work hard for and get up for, and this is the top level, and to have this opportunity it's really humbling.
Jason has 3 wins at the highest level. The 1997 SA Derby aboard Markham was his most recent.
Leon McDonald, he was the first one to give me my first pay packet, so I started my apprenticeship with him. I've ridden every winner for him, bar a Group 1 winner, so this is definitely on our bucket list.
The SA Derby is a special race for Hall of Fame trainer Leon McDonald. It provided his major breakthrough success when French Cotton won in 1986, and he's reminded of that career turning point every day at his stables.
I'll never forget the time. They were racing for about $8,000 or $10,000 those days, and the Derby was worth $100,000. Gee, I thought I was the King of England.
Dalasan is the horse McDonald and Holder are pinning their hopes on, and back-to-back wins in the 2 key lead-up events has them quietly confident. John Casey, 7 News.
So look at sport, Jane. Could be frosty at night at dinner if one gets over the other one there and wins.
What's the old joke? He might end up with hot tongue for dinner.
Well, there you
Pressed
go.
tongue.
Yes.
Yes.
Very nice.
Especially if he beats her. Deal money and another gloomy day for Australian shares. The ASX 200 closed 20 points lower. The Aussie dollar's trading at 65 US cents and 52 pence. Stay with us after the break. Expert advice from the CSIRO on how to beat the isolation bulge.
And we didn't see much in the way of rain today, but we've got a good shot tomorrow night with heavy falls predicted. All the details on that in the forecast after the break.
If you're in business in Australia, right now you're facing one of your toughest challenges. Business Australia can help you manage your responsibilities to your employees and assist with strategies to maintain and sustain your business. For free advice and support, visit businessaustralia.com.
Come home to stylish winter living. Shop Beacon's stunning new designs and get 30% off your second item. Mix and match anything from our entire range and get 30% off your second. Sale on now.
If your car got hit by hail, that could be 100% disastrous. Or if your home got storm damage, that could be 100% devastating. So it's reassuring to know QBE Insurance is 100% committed to helping you. Call 133 QBE today.
When your hair's not weighed down, you can do the day. Introducing new Pantene 0% silicone. Unlike silicone found in ordinary shampoos, new Pantene has nourishing lipids. The difference is clear. New Pantene 0% silicone formula gives you lightweight, smooth hair that lasts through to the next day. Do 0% silicone. Do new Pantene.
With Light and Easy, you can still enjoy a huge variety of delicious, healthy meals in the comfort and safety of your home, thanks to their chefs and dietitians and their contactless delivery service. In fact, Light and Easy has recently been rated Australia's #1 healthy meal delivery service, scoring 5 stars for customer satisfaction, as well as taste, variety and freshness, all things you'll find on their autumn menu. Enjoy delicious, healthy meals with Light and Easy's contactless, award-winning delivery. Order today.
Can care be better at home?
Someone from Medibank mentioned that there's a chance I can do rehab at home.
I said, oh, how much extra is that going to cost?
And they said, no, you've got it in your hospital cover. It just was fantastic for me.
Our streets are not empty. They're full of determination to stop the spread of COVID-19. To keep us connected and informed, the state government has created a reliable source of information at sa.gov.au, keeping SA safe and strong.
I can remember the doctor coming in, better say goodbye to him, Your whole life stops.
They told us to say goodbye to him. And that was a tough day, but he came back. It's changed a lot since Red's had the stroke. The support we get from ECH has just been tremendous. To have that extra help has helped us for him to be able to stay home.
Who is that?
I don't know.
It's Tane, Ari's brother. I don't think they like each other too much.
He's about to arrive. Some will love it, some won't.
I told you to stay away.
I ain't going anywhere.
It's all that heavy.
I didn't come here to make trouble. I came here to make sure my family was okay.
Tane acts like he's a good guy, but he's not.
Maybe I'll see you around, yeah?
Maybe. He's got the whole bay talking. Home and Away. Weeknights on 7.
With more time at home, it seems many of us are spending a little too much time raiding the pantry. Experts warn snack attacks during the pandemic could lead to a pile-up of COVID calories.
For Nicola Brown, it's not just work habits that have changed during this pandemic, but her eating habits too.
When I usually go into the office, I get in, have a coffee, maybe have some fruit, but then I don't eat until about lunchtime. However, since I've been home, I'm just snacking quite often. It's pretty easy just to head to the fridge whenever you want.
In fact, the COVID-19 lockdown has created calorie chaos around the world.
I made myself an ice cream sundae because, why the hell not?
But the CSIRO says it is possible to make a change.
When you think, OK, I'm not really getting a grasp on what I am doing in the day, keeping a journal and just monitoring yourself is really important.
Other tips include planning to eat within a 12-hour window. For example, breakfast at 7 a.m, a midday lunch, an afternoon snack and dinner at 7. Then stop eating after your evening meal. Instead, look to do non-food activities like picking up a puzzle book or calling a friend. When working from home, eat away from your desk. With many employers considering keeping staff at home even after the COVID-19 crisis passes, the experts say it's important to get on top of these kinds of behaviours now.
You don't want to go out of this pandemic having those increased desires for food because they are hard to change long term.
Elise Baker, 7 News.
Time now for more on the weather, and Amelia's at Grange tonight. How's it looking out there now, Amelia?
Jane, we're still copping some pretty strong winds here on the balcony of the Grange Surf Lifesaving Club, but thankfully windy conditions didn't stop a very important celebration in Port Lincoln, with young local Brock marking his 21st birthday with a green-themed drive-by. It's his favourite colour, with green balloons and decorations tied to the cars of family and friends. Even the fireys and police joined in on the well wishes for Brock, who lives with Hurler syndrome.
A really tough life in some ways, but he's got a great attitude and great character, and he was just wanted to celebrate it with the current situation.
And a big happy birthday to Brock from 7 News as well. Now, right now in the city, it's 16 degrees and we hit a top of 20.8 today following a warm night with gusty northwesterly winds featuring across much of the state, reaching 102 k's an hour at Cape Willoughby and whipping up dust over areas north of the city, while showers featured further south. Port Lincoln and Stenhouse Bay had a couple of millimetres, but we've got a better shot at rainfall tomorrow as a cold front clears through. Behind it, plenty of cold, unstable air. Elsewhere, and it's looking fine down the east coast with that front not due to hit Melbourne till Saturday. Back home, and a fine and sunny day across our far north as well, with showers a chance about the west coast, more likely the further south you go, particularly about the Mount Lofty ranges where heavy falls are tipped tomorrow night. Thunderstorms are possible there and about the south of the Eyre and York Peninsulas, on KI and about the southeast as well. Tonight there's still concern for damaging winds about the lower southeast. Sheep graziers in most districts are warned of the potential for stock losses, and tomorrow strong winds are forecast about all coastal areas, including out on metro waters where nor'westerlies could hit 30 knots south of Grange here from afternoon, with seas up to 2.5 metres. In the city, a top of 19's on the way. The day will probably begin with just a few clouds about, with showers likely to develop during the afternoon, and they're almost a certainty at night. We could see as much as 25 millimetres by Saturday morning in those heavier falls. Even hail's possible Saturday as well, with a cold day forecast, just 16 the top. Showers are now looking less likely on Sunday for Mother's Day. So, Jane, there is a bit of a silver lining in that forecast, I think.
That is good news. Thanks, Amelia. Well, that's all the news to now. I'll have updates throughout the evening, and the latest will be at 10:45 tonight. From all in the 7 News team here in Adelaide, good night.
Hello, Daniel. I have been watching you.
Yeah, I played footy from when I was 13. I guess I started getting somewhat good. I got drafted to the Gold Coast. Oh, no, see? Bad ball. You're not supposed to do that. The thing about footy is you've got to be able to get the ball, and I just couldn't get the ball. Damn it. So I got sacked. Was lucky enough to get picked up by Carlton.
Daniel Gorringe playing just his second game.
Then they sacked me again. It's funny now, but I do feel bad for the footy clubs that pick me up.
I am Big Brother. They may have sacked you, but I've chosen you.
I got a baby.
Welcome to my brand new house. You remind me of someone, Daniel.
Fitzy?
Not quite.
Oh, Ryan Gosling?
Certainly not. You talk big, but you'll need something to make you stand out.
My nose. Probably the size of my nose is pretty good.
It is big.
It's not that big, is it?
Humour will only get you so far.
Nah.
You've got to do what I say.
Damn it.
Have you got what it takes to be the last one in my house?
Didn't really believe I could play footy, but for some weird reason, I believe I can win this.
I am Big Brother. Who wins? You decide.
Closer each day.